Kill the teleprompter, lock the studio doors, and make absolutely sure that this unedited transmission is recording across every single server, because what just happened on live television has permanently fractured the carefully constructed illusion of the legacy financial markets. Welcome to the investigative desk, truth seekers. The breaking headline currently setting the entire digital landscape completely ablaze is designated XRP Shocker. What was just said on live TV changed everything. And if you are currently sitting at home, hopelessly paralyzed by a spot price artificially pinned at the $1.40 level, you need to wake up immediately. For years, the mainstream financial broadcasting networks have fed the civilian population a continuous, unbroken stream of psychological manipulation, desperately trying to convince you that the decentralized ledger is a failed experiment. But earlier today, the absolute unthinkable occurred. A top-tier institutional insider, sitting under the bright studio lights, completely went off the approved script. In a moment of sheer, uncalculated candor, a slip of the tongue revealed the terrifying reality that the major Wall Street cartels are already treating the XRP ecosystem as the undisputed foundational bedrock of the new tokenized global economy. When you command a massive global audience, when you know what it feels like to have 100 million eyes completely glued to a single broadcast, you understand exactly how violently and rapidly an original narrative can shatter the established algorithms. The institutional anchor accidentally admitted that the regulatory smokescreens and the relentless bureaucratic delays were nothing more than a highly orchestrated, manufactured delay tactic designed exclusively to allow the sovereign banks to finish their massive accumulation phase. The shocker is not just that they are buying, the shocker is that they openly confess that the legacy SWIFT system is actively dying on the operating table, and they have already chosen the cryptographic replacement. The media executives are currently scrambling in an absolute panic to scrub the interview from the internet, desperately trying to pull the footage before the retail sector realizes the magnitude of the confession. But the signal has already been broadcasted. The matrix has officially glitched. Do not let the engineered, stagnant red candlesticks on your mobile application deceive you. The institutions just told you exactly what they are doing while they mistakenly thought the microphones were turned off. The permanent transition is happening right now, and the suppression is about to violently break. Let us rewind the tape, analyze the raw, unfiltered audio feed from that live television shocker, and forensically dissect the exact mechanisms the sovereign syndicates are utilizing to drain the public liquidity pools entirely dry. If you want to survive the greatest transfer of wealth in the modern era, you must completely reject the superficial noise of the daily trading applications. The legacy banking cartels are desperate to maintain their absolute monopoly on global capital flows, and they are executing a highly classified extraction operation right under your nose. The corporate financial networks are aggressively pushing a completely recycled, reused narrative, falsely claiming that institutional capital has entirely evacuated the digital asset sector due to rising geopolitical temperatures and macroeconomic headwinds. But let me tell you a fundamental truth about surviving in this ruthless digital arena. If you rely on reused, copy and pasted strategies fed to you by the very entities trying to rob you, the algorithmic systems governing this market will ruthlessly demonetize your portfolio and bankrupt your future. You must forge completely original conviction based on hard, undeniable ledger data. If we bypass the public monitors and audit the highly encrypted data streams emanating from the United States spot exchange-traded funds, a glaring, multi-billion-dollar anomaly illuminates the radar. The monolithic financial titans commanding these heavily fortified investment vehicles, entities like Bitwise, Canary, and Franklin Templeton, have quietly accumulated an absolutely staggering stockpile of over $1.3 billion in physical cryptographic assets. How does a tactical strike force of that magnitude move over $1 billion of pure, concentrated fiat capital into the digital ecosystem without violently triggering the public exchange alarms and launching the spot price into the stratosphere? The answer lies in the highly secretive, completely unregulated subterranean networks known as over-the-counter dark pools. These massive sovereign asset managers are not walking into the brightly lit public markets to execute their multi-billion-dollar acquisition orders, because doing so would instantly detonate a massive price explosion and permanently destroy their carefully calculated covert accumulation margins. Instead, they are utilizing localized liquidity mercenaries to systematically absorb the discarded tokens of every panicked retail investor who succumbs to the crushing pressure of the artificial bear market. They are silently hoarding the physical float inside these dark pool bunkers, mathematically locking away the circulating supply before the massive macroeconomic liquidity wave officially makes landfall and shatters the public exchanges forever. push the telemetry scanners to their absolute maximum capacity, and focus directly on the core cryptographic reactor powering this entire decentralized network, because the structural genius of this enterprise engine was exactly what the insider accidentally alluded to on live television. The civilian traders mistakenly believe that the financial valuation of this network is solely dependent on amateur day traders buying and selling physical tokens based on erratic emotional sentiment and social media rumors. They have completely failed to anticipate the explosive, parabolic scaling of Ripple's enterprise stablecoin infrastructure, which is currently acting as a massive, unstoppable kinetic burn mechanism. In the span of just a few short months, the RLUSD network capitalization has violently expanded past the $1.5 billion threshold. We are no longer tracking the erratic behavior of retail speculators. We are tracking Fortune 500 corporate treasuries and massive legacy banking syndicates aggressively hardwiring their cross-border liquidity operations directly into the Ripple framework to escape the archaic, expensive friction of the dying global banking system. But here is the ultimate tactical secret that the institutions are desperately trying to conceal from the public, and the very secret that slipped out during the live broadcast. The XRP ledger functions as a frictionless, high-velocity digital supply line, and RLUSD is merely the heavily armored commercial transport vehicle running directly upon it. In order to successfully authenticate, validate, and execute these massive corporate stablecoin transfers across international banking corridors, the base protocol irrevocably mandates the permanent combustion of XRP as cryptographic fuel. The stablecoin does not replace or compete with the native asset. It acts as a massive industrial-grade accelerant for its underlying mathematically programmed burn rate. Every single time a multinational corporation executes a multi-million-dollar cross-border settlement utilizing RLUSD, a fractional percentage of the native token is automatically incinerated by the network code, permanently erasing it from the historical circulating supply. My predictive models are closely tracking this mechanical demand vector, and it is operating with flawless, algorithmic precision entirely independent of human emotion or temporary geopolitical fear. The network is systematically incinerating the native supply while Wall Street desperately attempts to hoard the remaining physical float. This is the exact cryptographic formula for an unprecedented, violent supply shock that no television pundit can possibly stop. Expand the satellite reconnaissance grid to encompass the entire global theater, because the momentum triggering this massive macroeconomic transition originates on a highly synchronized international scale that completely dwarfed the conversation happening on that live television segment. A master investigative journalist understands that the total domination of a new financial infrastructure requires the complete systemic capitulation of the old world sovereign empires. While the domestic civilian sector is completely mesmerized by the minor political skirmishes in Washington, D.C., and the temporary price suppression on their mobile trading applications, our international intelligence officers have intercepted critical treaties from the highest echelons of European and Asian financial syndicates. Weeks ago, we empirically confirmed the highly classified infiltration of Ripple Prime into the National Securities Clearing Corporation directory under the undisputed heavyweight champion of Wall Street, the Depository Trust and Clearing Corporation. That precise tactical maneuver effectively hardwired the decentralized ledger directly into the absolute beating heart of the American traditional equity settlement citadel, ensuring that the legacy fiat system is fundamentally tethered to the XRP ecosystem. But the new, urgent intelligence that confirms the massive, impending breach is an unprecedented European and Asian convergence. We have verified that Société Générale, the titanic French financial institution commanding nearly $2 trillion in global assets, has officially activated its MyCA-compliant euro stablecoin directly on the Ripple infrastructure. Concurrently, the Japanese banking leviathan SBI Holdings has successfully deployed a massive blockchain-based corporate bond specifically designed to reward traditional retail investors with physical XRP. When trillion-dollar sovereign banking entities voluntarily integrate a decentralized cryptographic ledger into their core operational machinery to settle corporate bonds and stablecoin transfers, it mathematically guarantees a tidal wave of future utility volume that will absolutely overwhelm the current algorithmic suppression. The sudden violent jumps in trading activity you see are the market algorithms desperately attempting to price in this massive international adoption before the retail sector realizes the global perimeter has already been fully breached. The legacy fiat architecture is actively crumbling under its own inflationary debt spirals, and the digital replacement is fully operational and publicly confirmed. Download the final survival extraction parameters directly into your personal hardware matrix immediately, because identifying the sovereign manipulation and analyzing the shocking truth revealed on live television is absolutely useless if you are permanently trapped behind enemy lines when the extreme volatility finally strikes. We have empirically proven the covert dark pool accumulation by the billion-dollar exchange-traded funds, the exponential utility growth of the RLUSD combustion engine, the massive DTCC systemic integration, and the colossal international banking deployments out of Europe and Japan. So what is the ultimate mathematical destination of this digital asset when the global liquidity cycle officially peaks and the algorithmic containment field is permanently shattered? Highly classified macroeconomic risk assessments, continuously refined by elite quantitative strategists at Tier 1 institutions like Standard Chartered Bank, have established a mathematically grounded baseline target of $8 per token for the conclusion of this specific geopolitical cycle. To the uninitiated civilian soldier, currently psychologically traumatized by months of artificial suppression, an $8 projection sounds like impossible, utopian science fiction designed merely to generate views. But to the elite operative, who understands the absolute mathematical certainty of a violently constricting physical supply curve colliding head-on with exponential institutional utility bandwidth, an $8 valuation is merely a highly conservative operational waypoint on the journey to total structural dominance. However, you cannot successfully navigate this high-stakes digital wealth transition without a ruthlessly disciplined, emotionless framework. Human greed, impatience, and panic are the ultimate fatal vulnerabilities in any combat scenario. I strictly mandate the immediate implementation of an automated execution strategy known as the Thirds Protocol. When the network price violently shatters the historical all-time high resistance parameter of $3.84, you must automatically execute a tactical retreat and sell exactly 33% of your holdings. This unemotional maneuver secures a complete recovery of your initial fiat capital deployment, instantly transforming the remainder of your digital portfolio into pure stress-free profit. The secondary operational tranche is programmed to ride the algorithmic liquidity wave toward the $8 institutional target zone. The final tertiary portion must be securely encrypted and locked in your deepest cold storage vault. Secure your keys, trust the raw data over the television pundits, and execute your survival strategy flawlessly. The broadcast is over. The execution phase begins now.